So the podcast will be starting soon. Things should be up.
It's on there. It says the podcast will be starting soon. It says on the page.
Yep, perfect. Let's jump in here, get the chatting.
All right.
Fuck. So how are things? Well, I know things are a little crazy out there with people staying inside and getting a little antsy in the pantsy, not training or doing anything.
Yeah, a little bit. It's tough not having jujitsu as that outlet that it usually is.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, like we've said before, there's only so many resistance band drills I can do, and friggin' what was it? Like fighting invisible geese and ninjas and shit like that, and hoping for the best.
Yeah, yeah. I've been trying to mix it up. Like obviously traditional jujitsu is kind of off the list of things to do, but kickboxing is still there, and been doing my dry fire drills like crazy for shooting and keeping all those perishable skills intact at least as much as I can. Um, but yeah, man, jiu-jitsu, it's hard. You can only do so many solo drills before you get a little bored.
No, I hear you there, man. It sucks too because it's not like there's a lot of willing participants in my household to do leg locks on because, like I said, the dogs don't have heels, and Chelsea's
Yeah,
definitely not letting me like Imanari roll her in the middle of the kitchen and like
yeah.
fight for a fight for a heel hook or a toe hold or something. Like it's not happening.
Well, an unwilling participant is more realistic anyway, right?
Yeah, it's got to be real. It's realistic training. People don't want to get taken down and get hurt, or get submitted because it's a fight. Honestly, I might just have her just attack me randomly throughout the house and see
Yeah.
how I can do that.
Have you seen Trevor Hayes' videos he's been putting up about his girlfriend randomly attacking him?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Trevor's a national treasure. Still, I think the guest we've had on the show the most, honestly, is just Trevor
Yeah.
just fighting or not fight, just coming on the show. I think it's either him or Jeff Shaw at this point. I'm not sure.
Well, see, and I haven't had the luxury of being the co-host during either one of their episodes, so we're gonna have to make that happen again.
All right, fuck it.
So
I'll message Trevor. I feel like he has plenty of time right now to be on the show.
he should. He should. Coaching is kind of standing by the wayside, so he probably should.
Yeah, I definitely feel for everybody out there right now with their gyms closing down and stuff like that. Well, not closing down permanently. I hope, I pray, fingers crossed. But just mainly, I want them to get back into it as soon as possible. I just kind of feel like we got to kind of do it a bit slowly.
Yeah, I had a little conversation with my coach, Brad Acosta, the other day, and he was just checking in to see how I was managing, and I just told him, I was like, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous about the not only the lost skills that we're gonna have to regain after all of this, but also the lost members, because you don't know who's gonna come back and
Yeah,
who's not. You know.
yeah. It's definitely like almost a perfect excuse for people not to come back. I mean, having the blue belt blues is bad enough, and not being able, like, not really showing back up because you're like, this shit's hard. I don't want to come back. But now you have like an active excuse
Yeah.
to not like come back, and that really sucks, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Blue belts have a tendency of disappearing on their own. Now they're given all the ammunition to follow through with that. Which hopefully, if you're listening, go back when this is all over. Get back in there. It's just like anything else. You went how many years of your life before without jujitsu until you realize how great it is with it in your life. This is no different. This is, not even a tenth of the time that you went without jujitsu before. So
Yeah.
um, definitely get back on those mats as soon as the doors open up.
It'll be there. It'll be fine. Everything will be good. We'll all be happy about it and shit like that. And
What do you think? What do you think gyms are going to do? I mean, so let's talk about this
all right,
in the short term of going back, like in the immediacy. There's going to have to be some safeguards. I mean, it's jujitsu, so you're going to be in close contact. You're going to be sweating on each other, breathing on each other. So there's obviously going to be an increased risk of exposure. But I mean, if you own a gym, do you buy a thermometer and check people's temperature when they come in? Like, what do you do?
I mean that's kind of we already battle. See, the thing is, we already battle people who are coming in with like colds and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'll just sweat it out."
Yeah,
And that's a cold. Like I'd like to think people might be a little more responsible and not jump in when if they have it, if they feel bad, kind of be a little more mindful. Whereas I'm sure some people's logic takes it to, well, it's just a cold. Somebody will be down for a couple days,
yeah.
but now it's like it's a little more serious with what can be well, what could happen to somebody if they do catch like COVID or something like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think maybe a thermometer, but with people being asymptomatic for like 2 weeks or whatever, it's gonna be hard to do. I think it more or less is just kind of slowly in stages, open it up, maybe offer more classes throughout the day, and
Yeah.
get smaller numbers, and then maybe get like a sign up roster. Be like, hey man, we're gonna start with 10, then we'll keep going from there. But it sucks then is now you're teaching friggin' 10 classes a day
Well, and that was something
spread
I thought
out.
about, at work. We were discussing some of the guys I work with that do jujitsu. I said, in the uh, in the short term, before everything goes back to normal, one thing I'd like to do is when these antibody tests become widely available, um, create a group that have tested positive for the COVID antibodies
Yeah,
and start our own little private rolling group because then you're not at risk anymore, right? I mean, you're at least not for the we don't know how long the immunity is good for, but at least for short term, if we all have the antibodies already in our system, uh, then we're not exposing anybody else. And I feel like that's pretty responsible. How do you feel about that?
um I guess I gotta kind of see like the whole science behind it. Can people get sick again with it? Is it kind of like the chicken pox? You get it once, you're good. Like
Right.
whatever that may be. I mean, that's going to be kind of your measuring stick. I mean, if you put all the sick people together and let them roll, I mean, it's kind of like the whole situation where whenever I'm sick or my wife's sick, we sleep separately
Mm-hmm.
because when we first we first married and she'd get like a sinus infection, but oh baby, I love you. I don't want to, I'll weather this storm with you. Then I would get sick and she would get better, and then she'd do the same thing, and then she would get sick and I would get better. Like,
Right.
so we're
Right.
just sharing it back and forth. I think it just kind of has to be like, what happens then? Like, is that the
Yeah.
case? Like, if you've got it, then do you get it again? Then obviously I'll say, yeah, fuck it, let everybody roll together until pretty much everybody has the antibodies or whatever, and
Right.
we're good to go.
Yeah, because I know at work right now, what we're doing is we get to work and in our roll call, um, before we actually hit the street, we have to get our temperatures checked with that forehead thermometer thing.
Oh, the little laser gun
It's like they like put it on your forehead and they run it across and they put it behind your ear and
Oh, cool.
it gives a temperature. And I guess fever is one of the predominant symptoms of it. So that's separated from like a sinus infection. So
Yeah.
I didn't
I
know if
was,
that was something people were going to do or what.
see, I also think what's funny too is it kind of puts people in like this paranoid thing where it's like I was at work the other day and I got a headache, and it's also because I've been trying not to drink 5,000 cups of coffee at work, cut back on my caffeine intake, and I'm sitting
Right.
there, I get like this nasty headache, which I'm like, it's more than likely from lack of caffeine. But then your brain goes to the whole, well, they say headache is one of the major symptoms of COVID. I was like, shit, I've
Yeah.
got it now. I've given it to everybody here, but I don't know, man. Maybe it makes people a little more mindful, or maybe a little more like paranoid, I guess. But
Right.
but I feel like maybe people acting safer towards you know exposure or just germs in general. It's kind of like one of those silver lining type things where if we come out of this and we're a little cleaner and stop being nasty, it shouldn't be half bad.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, we do learn some ways to stay cleaner and safer for sure.
I'll be
But
happy with that.
I feel like it's going to take a long time to get back to full on jiu-jitsu class rolling the way that it used to be.
Yeah, same, same.
And I think sadly enough, that's going to be one of the last things that happens. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that we are going to not have classes for another month or two. To be honest with you, at least in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So
Although, did you see they posted an article? CNBC posted it, where in Los Angeles County they did a study on the antibody test essentially,
yeah,
and they are estimating that the outbreak is 55% bigger than what they originally anticipated, which means that the death rate percentage wise is a lot lower.
I'm down with that. If that's the case, I'm happy with that because
Right.
I mean it was just testing for people who were um, sick or showing symptoms, and they're like, yeah, either you got it or you don't. But um, I mean, hopefully with all the more data that comes out, the better it'll be. But then again, you got other countries, not to be named, that were just completely lying about their death toll. They're like, hey,
Yes.
just joking. We
Yeah.
actually had 50% more deaths in this province than we originally said.
Look, bats are the chicken of the cave.
That I know. Yeah, I'm glad we're on the same. Was it the same wavelength on that one? Because I'd posted it up on Facebook. I'm like, I'm pretty sure because I remember like seeing something about it. Then you sent it to me. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
we're thinking the same shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's called the
Yeah.
chicken of the cave, Ron. I don't think you can serve bats here. So what? So what are your goals going to be now once we get back? Once we get back into it, what are your goals going to be for rolling? For it's a new world now, man. Like you can't just be like, hey, I'm really going to work on you know Kimura or whatever. It's kind of like having to do some basics all over again.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought a little bit about this on both the jiu-jitsu side as well as the coaching jiu-jitsu and kickboxing side. I think you have to go back to the fundamentals for at least a little bit with everybody. I don't care about belt rank or whatever experience levels. You're going to have to go back and polish up some of the fundamentals just to kind of get back on that horse. Um, the higher belts, I don't think it's going to take us very long to get some of the muscle memory kicked in and start feeling pretty good with the basics again. But I think that you got to start there. Just like come back from injury. You come back from injury, you don't just dive back into wherever it is that you left off. You've got to kind of ramp it up. So I think when I go back, just ease into just some movements. Like I would love to start out with just movement drills for the first couple of classes, moving between mount to knee on belly, back to mount, side mount to mount. Different moving between different guards, shooting up triangles and arm bars from guard from a basic standpoint, um, hitting some sweeps, and just like kind of doing like a drill to kill type of class, but with real basic movements and position drills.
No, I think that's good. Like that's I feel like a lot of people who are at home doing this are still kind of looking at the basics. But here's the other thing too: like you don't have that active feedback that you get from a coach or a professor, or whatever you want to call the person. So it's more or less like you're doing these drills. You're like, God, I hope it's fucking right, and you don't know. I know there's a lot of people doing online classes, and that's absolutely outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like there's still going to be like I don't want to call my coach Josh, but hey Josh, you mind watching me do these spider guard like sweep drills real quick? And
Right.
he absolutely would, but I feel like that's like a waste of time for him
Yeah.
because, oops, sorry about that. But just mainly like the fundamentals are definitely going to have to be worked on again for like you said the lower ranks maybe, and that's not such a bad thing, but fuck
No,
man,
it's gonna happen. I mean, because everything is gonna feel rusty and awkward, like when you come back from injury,
yeah.
and then we're all gonna get mat burn on the tops of our feet all over again. Uh, we're gonna get super sore and shit after the first couple classes. Um, I'm not opposed to rolling the first day back, but it's going to be more of just kind of like a go through the motions type of roll as opposed to this ultra competitive one. You know,
Yeah. It's
just
and that's the thing too. You can't really simulate the cardio of rolling with somebody unless you just
nope,
actually roll with somebody. And
exactly.
there truly is no way to do it. But man, it's gonna be bad. I'm just it'll be nice to have like a that brief period where you're like, oh shit, I've got like 10 rolls in. Kind of go easy on this one, so you don't
Mhm.
feel so bad because it's legit going to be one of those issues. Whereas some people are the rest roll, quote unquote. I feel like everybody's going to be the rest roll starting
Yeah.
out, maybe, or at least after the first couple rounds.
Um, yeah. Everybody's going to have to take their time and get back into it slowly, which is good. We're all in the same place. We're all fighting the same battle. So it's not like you're really going to lose steps from somebody else. We all have those people that we're like kind of competing with as we go and progress together. It's not like you're going to fall back behind them. We're all in the same boat, and that's the benefit. It says somebody hit the pause button on jiu-jitsu for 6 weeks. You
Yeah.
know,
Now we all got
uh,
to work our way back into it, like you said. So I'm just like, how are we going
yeah,
to do this?
yep. The whole jiu-jitsu world just sprained their ACL. We're getting back to it. Uh, but yeah, I can't wait for that day. I got to be honest. I had the luxury of being able to go hands on a little bit uh, with another officer at work because we got approval from the higher ups to we have this unique situation that we're in the training realm, field training realm, where we've got new officers that came into the training environment out of the police academy right before all this broke bad. And so then the problem is they're not getting exposed to the myriad of issues that you deal with in law enforcement because we can't self-initiate traffic stops unless it's an emergency basis. They're discouraging certain types of proactive policing methods right now across the country. So they're not getting exposure. They're not getting training. And so we got approval to do some hands-on scenarios with these couple of trainees that we have to give them exposure to at least combat, so they're not experiencing that the first time on the street by themselves when they get cut loose. And so I got to be the role player, the bad guy in a couple scenarios, and I got to you know wrestle around and fight a little bit with one of the trainees the other day. So that was like medicine for the soul for a jiu-jitsu guy, man. Um, and luckily he's a jiu-jitsu practitioner too, so it was good. He's a white belt, but I was impressed. I mean, he's a tough guy, so it was good to just to have uh, some confrontation with somebody, some pajama wrestling with somebody.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
So
Unfortunately, nobody at work. So the only guy who ever did any so there are two guys that I work with who did any grappling. One guy's a purple belt, and he's now doing like training. He's training others. So I'm like, I don't ever see the guy anymore. And then the other guy is a catch wrestler, and he said, well, his wife's like high risk, so he
mm,
can't come to work. I'm like,
nah,
fuck. So I mean, it isn't like we could sneak off in the break room, but yo, let's 3 minute break. Fucking let's get a match in, like
yeah,
real quick.
yeah.
But that'll never happen anyways. I'm pretty sure we get yelled at.
But I wonder, and that's something else I got to do some digging into. Is at work they're taking the precautions of these temperatures, taking our temperatures. I wonder how accurate that is in terms of detecting the coronavirus, even if you're asymptomatic, so you don't feel anything. Do you still get a mild fever?
I mean, that's an interesting question. I mean,
Because
and also because like I said before, maybe it's just a group of people who are just like, you know what, I got a cough and I have the chills, and I'll just go roll and help sweat it out, and then just fucking cough on everybody in the gym at that
it's
point.
it's one thing if you got a hangover. Sweating it out actually works pretty well then.
Yeah,
But
but
you know,
I know when I have a hangover. That's the difference.
yes,
Like I know the
yeah,
difference. Like drank the night before. I'm hungover this morning. We'll roll it out. It's not like, oh, I woke
yeah,
up with a scratchy throat and
yeah.
I'll just go to the gym, sweat it out, no problem.
No, no, you shouldn't be doing that anyway. In any circumstance, you shouldn't be doing that. Uh, but I just wonder because I wouldn't be opposed if it was actually truly accurate, right? If let's say me and Jeremy Seth, one of my training partners that I miss rolling with a lot,
Yeah.
uh, decided that hey, we're gonna invest in a good thermometer and we'll just check each other's temperature before we roll. and if we're good, we're good. But I don't know how dependable it is. I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do. I'm
Yeah,
asking, like,
no,
if I
no,
can
I
find
know,
out, yeah,
I get what you're saying. I'm just like that is kind of an interesting way to
and just
look
keep
at
it
it.
keep it to like one or two people, right? Like
Yeah,
no more than that. It's not like Fight Club where you just keep bringing people in, and first rule of Fight Club is, it's not like that. It would stay to one or two people max.
yeah. As I was laughing too, because was it at one point in the movie? He's like, "Oh, I see a lot of new faces here." Everyone's
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, yeah, yeah." So see, you guys aren't following the first fucking rule of Fight Club, are you?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then
Uh,
people will start finding out that you're doing it because your cauliflower ear gets a little swollen. You get some brush burns, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on, man?
yeah.
You know, you training? Huh? You training?"
I will say that is kind of the interesting part of this whole thing is that I have certain injuries that are now like almost healed. Like I'm
Yeah.
like my left shoulder feels absolutely great, but
Yeah.
now my back hurts because it's not staying as loose as it normally does.
Yeah. Yeah.
That fucking sucks. So you guys are like, I think I might have you and like Brad like get on all fours like they do like when they bully kids, and then
Yeah.
you run just like fucking drop kick me just to get it over with, just like get like one good like back stretch.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, and Brian Mingy used to do this thing with his wife. I thought was hilarious, but it makes sense. Where he would basically, if she was sore or needed to get stretched out,
Yeah.
he would put her in a submission for a different submission for every limb or body part and
Yeah.
stretch it out. Right. So he'd put her like in a straight arm bar, extend it to that point where you're going to tap and hold it for like 30 seconds, let go, go to Americana for 30 seconds, go to Kimura for 30 seconds uh, and like stretch her out. She said she always felt amazing when he did it. So
Interesting.
it's like its own therapy. We could start like our own clinic.
We're already certified, man. We already got some credentials there with
Yeah.
knowing these submissions.
We'd be like a PA assistant, and like the black belts would be the actual PA.
Yeah, yeah. We just do like take the temperature. What's
Yeah.
sore? Pass it off to the doc.
Yep.
Here comes Brian just walking in like his crazy face. And just puts him in all of those fucking submissions.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that'd work out.
Could you see it? Could you imagine walking into a practice and you see Brian Mingy in some scrubs?
I kind of like in a sick way. I kind of could. I'd be like, oh, all right, I'll be all right.
Just tattoos everywhere.
Yeah, just like, all right, man. So I'm reading your chart and it says you're being a bitch. All right, let's stretch your back out and just put you in a twister and hold you there.
Be awesome.
That would be. I pay good money for that.
Yeah.
Conversation would be a lot better than you. Like I usually go get massages and it's well, obviously not recently. I'm like, oh yeah, how's how's life? I got this brother. I'm like this is boring. Can we please like not talk about this? Like just
Yeah.
be like, I can only imagine the shit that Brandon would come up with if he actually
Oh
was
God.
like,
Yeah. And then Neil Weaver, if you came in there and you're like, "Hey, I got a headache," and he'd be like, "Oh, really? Okay, we'll stand there for 1 second," and he'd blast your leg with a leg kick, and you're like, "How's the headache feel?" "No, it feels great, but my leg feels like shit now." That'd be like, it'd be a great clinic.
it would be.
Yeah.
I feel like this would be pretty similar to just how the jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai is it when they all taught it.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar. Pretty similar. But would Neil ever smile? That's the big question.
No.
No.
No. Nope. Would never happen.
I think I've only seen him smile once, and that's when he accidentally farted on the mat when he was rolling. He just looked at me and he goes, it was. I think it scared me more than anything because he broke like his personality there for a second because he's just like this and he farted. And he goes, "What was that?" And then just went right back to it. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like
That's amazing.
I don't know what to do. Neil smiled at me. That means I'm probably gonna get my leg broken.
It was at the time that I was rolling with Brandon Garner over at Gracie Raleigh, and I was still a blue belt. And he's a pretty serious guy. At least he comes across pretty intense. Super awesome guy, but and he's wearing this crisp white gi. I mean, it just and I was honored to even have the chance to roll with him, and something happened in one of the scrambles or whatever, and the top of my head got cut open, and I just in slow motion see these droplets of blood falling right on his brand spanking new white gi,
Oh shit!
and I just froze because I'm like, oh my god, this is how I die right here. This is how it happens. And he kind of like looks up at me, and and he just kind of has this look on his face, and I'm trying to read it to see like, is this bad or good? How's he going to take this? And he looks at me, he goes, "How dare you bleed your blood on me?" And then just smiles, and I'm like, "Oh, thank God."
He's not gonna kill me. Fuck, thank God. Oh my God, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I don't think I've had a. I mean, it's always more like it's funny, all the interactions you have with people when you're rolling and whatnot. And I think that's kind of, aside from the benefits of being able to keep yourself safe, I think that's kind of one of the main things I miss about not doing jiu-jitsu is absolutely the social interaction. Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know if the audience knows, but I'm a social dude, like by nature. I podcast with you, I stream, I like talking to people. It's just the way life is for me, and it's pretty difficult to not have that type of interaction right now, especially with people like that are your friends, people that you train with. It sucks a lot, man. Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's pretty bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's so much about jujitsu that I miss, and it's the conditioning piece. And I'm not talking about necessarily just the physical, but the emotional and mental conditioning. Uh, the people that you train with on the mats are just always pushing you to a better version of yourself.
Yeah,
Whether that's your coach, your training partner, doesn't matter if it's a white belt, a black belt. I really miss that. And I think that there's so much positivity that comes from the art in every one of our lives that we're just missing out on. And yeah, you can do jujitsu. You can I shouldn't say do jujitsu. You can embody jujitsu off the mat, and you can still recognize its value in your life in other facets. The way that you deal with controversy and struggle. Um, the way you have to adapt and overcome in these trying times. All those things are still there and very much a gift from jujitsu, but I miss. There's no better place to grow as a human being, in my opinion, than on those mats, and I miss it like crazy every day. So,
yeah, but it'll get better. Things will improve, and then we'll get back into it soon enough.
oh yeah, yeah, just
So
a matter of time.
yeah, so before we head out, man, is there anything you want to leave our current viewers or the ones that are going to be downloading this episode later?
Uh, Keep staying clean and healthy so we can get back on the mats as soon as possible. It's difficult, but it's worth it. We'll be able to get back in there soon, and send us some questions. We want to keep doing. I think this is cool doing live. I'd like to see some more interaction though.
Yeah,
So if we know in advance we're going to do an episode, we might be able to announce it a little bit sooner. This was kind of something we were going to try out that's different, but I would love to get some questions, some feedback, some insight. Like, hey, what are you guys doing? How are you guys training? What are you doing to prepare? Are you making your own grappling dummies at home? Are you practicing on the dog? Like, tell us what you're doing to keep your skills sharp, because we can probably learn from you too in terms of some additional options. So just throw some stuff at us. Let's get a discussion going on this.
absolutely. I mean, it's good to hear from people. Kind of like the whole we're all in the same boat. Like in the jiu-jitsu community, we literally are because nobody's training. I mean, we've got people who are really dedicating their time, putting out videos, doing a hell of a job doing that, and then holding online classes. But still, no matter what, we don't get that interaction. It's not we're holed up in like the difference between hold up being held up or hold up in a mansion or any of that. It's the fact that we can't do what we enjoy doing, and that really sucks. So, I mean, hopefully, you guys interact with us a bit more. I think as the live podcast thing goes on, it'll improve better. So
Absolutely.
we'll see if we can bring some guests on here live so we can harass the shit out of them as well. But
Yeah, I'm sorry about my face. I can't do anything about this. So
as
that
James as
won't
James
get
Hoffman's wife says, we've got faces for radio.
Absolutely.
Oh well. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening. This has been another episode of the Big Jiu Jitsu Show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company, Tape Armor, and Rolls Gear. And you can find this episode and all your other ones at bjjshow.com. I'm Rob.
I'm Randy.
We'll catch you guys next time.